if we can, please, at the scope of work. I think that that's the, you know, it's about 3 from the back, I think, or 4 from the back. Yeah. I tried to put them all in order of where I would be speaking, but, okay? Got it. You see it? Yep. Now, this scope of work was is in the document, the grant document. And really, just look at this thing. Your project summary is the town of Sanbornton proposes to amend its existing land use regulations and review its town road design and construction standards in order to facilitate the construction of workforce housing and to reduce the fair market cost of this housing. Did you know that last week? No. Because I didn't hear that last week. Okay? Project deliverables. Okay? This is from HUD. This portion, these 3 pages are off your document that you signed that's enforceable through HUD. Okay? This is what HUD says. Project deliverables are amended town road design and construction standards based on functional classification, and which in turn are less costly land development component, and are less costly. Amended minimum lot size standards, allowing for increased densities and economies of scale. Amended minimum lot frontage standards, allowing for more house lots per linear foot of road, based on variable lot frontage requirements varied according to the functional classification of road, providing access and frontage to the lot. Amended zoning regulations permitting workforce housing in more zoning districts and expanded areas of town. Amended zoning regulations permitting mixed use, village plan, amended subdivision regulations permitting lot size averaging provisions. All tasks will include efforts to conduct outreach to underrepresented populations.
There was nothing. There was nothing. There was no outreach.
Okay, well, who's the underrepresented population within Sanbornton? Just wondering, okay? And the project will devote a minimum of 5% of grant funds to such tasks. So 5% of this document went to educate you, I guess, is what they're saying. Now,
There was nothing.
well, you know what? I'm sure that happens all the time. Somebody got the money for that grant, something to look into, right? All right, so let's look at the descriptions here. Who's the responsible party for task 1 that I said, that formulates revised road standards? LRPC and town planner. All the way down, all 5. Those are the responsible parties. Did you know that?
No.
I thought you were the responsible party because you're the voter and you are the taxpayer and you pay for all of this. You live in the community. Why is LRPC kept out of the dialogue? Shouldn't you know that your community is doing that? Yes?
Our road frontage and so forth was done long before we signed the grant, and it was done because of how we were doing things. And the variable lot came from me for 6 years trying to get it so we didn't lose stone walls and natural features.
Okay.
They had nothing to do with our grant either.
Okay,
So
but
those 2, and that variable lot frontage comes under that also.
okay, that's all fine and good. I think the important thing to understand here is, though, that this grant is not people are not educated as to what this grant proposes. Yeah. And it's much deeper in scope than what I heard being discussed last Thursday.
And what I feel safe about that statement, the planning committee shared, and I like the way that was shared, but that was all based upon the fact that the minimum size requirements don't change. And so I see this as a possible first step. And then the next step is we start to see minimum lot size change, and then it's a whole new ballgame.
Right, it starts the ball rolling,
Yeah.
right?
One little step at a time.
One little step at a time. Now turn to page 18. For those that think that this isn't about HUD, I can't tell you the number of times I've heard this. HUD substantial involvement. HUD's Office of Sustainable Housing and Communities will work in partnership with its grantees to advance the program objectives of the grant program. The cooperative agreement allows for substantial involvement of HUD staff to enhance the performance of the grantee in the completion of their deliverables. Anticipated substantial involvement by HUD may include, but will not be limited to, right there. Anybody reading this, right, you say, but not limited to, you throw it out, because those words can come back to kill you. You're going to see some of that tonight. You're going to see, but will not be limited to, what that can mean. Anticipated substantial review potential amendment, it goes on. You guys can read it. But the point is that there's a lot more oversight happening here than is being discussed. And those deliverables continue to page 19. Monitoring to permit specific kinds of direction or redirection of the work because of interrelationships with other projects. Who's HUD to be monitoring any of this work? You know, so HUD is substantially involved, and that argument is no longer, and I suggest if you're really interested, you should look at the whole grant because it's 35, 40 pages long and full of that kind of language. I went to a New Hampshire housing, I think it was probably in January, or it must have been before January, because it was before your grant. But this is what they had to say about Sanbornton. Sanbornton, this is what New Hampshire Housing, Bringing You Home, in their Grant Round 2 awards, summarized your project as. Workforce housing regulations. The town will amend its existing land use regulations to facilitate the construction of workforce housing. The town will modify lot dimension standards, such as lot size and road frontage, thereby increasing development of densities and economies of scale. The town will also review its road construction standards to reduce development costs. The grant here they have is for $21,056. So there was nothing there about educating people to put warrant articles so that you could vote. They will. Okay? And that's the way it came across to me from the town planner as well. So now we're to the part that Susan, I'm going to let Susan come up here and educate you for like, 10, 12 minutes. If she needs more, we'll give it to her. I have a 10-minute video that I want you to see. And if you've seen it before, I apologize. But this video is so crucial for folks to see because people think it can't happen here. And they have to understand it can. We have to be vigilant. So this is Susan Olson, and she's going to talk to you about dogma versus truth. Do that.
Croc TV.